Welcome. Today we're going to be discussing the technique Escape from Darkness, its execution, some things you should know about its execution, some problems that may arise, and how to fix or compensate for those problems. So, this is a darkness technique. What that means in Kenpo, there's an argot, and that means from your zone of obscurity. So what does that mean? That means we have a cone in which we can see, and everything outside of that is what we call a zone of obscurity. So in this case, darkness means from our zone of obscurity. We do have that flipped in other techniques, which means we're in their zone of obscurity. So let's talk about the beginning here. They're going to be throwing a punch from our left rear flank, and somehow we recognize the fact that they are going to be punching us, either through sight or sound, but either way, we determine that they're coming at us. So we decide we need to create that distance so that we can better view what's going on, and then what we're going to do is try and take advantage of that at that point. We could, at this point, as you see, I'm ready to leave. I can continue to leave and not engage this person, but the problem with this is they may be able to catch me. They may be faster than me. So we've decided that we need to engage this opponent. So there's a couple different ways we can engage this opponent. One is I pull everything away, and then I do the kick. The other one is I leave something there, in this case the foot, at the point of origin, and then go from there. That's slightly quicker, but slightly riskier because I'm leaving something closer to my opponent, but it's only my leg. It's not like my face or anything that's extremely important, so to speak. So in this case, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to throw that kick from there. The other way to do it would be, he comes in, I pull everything away, and I do the kick. Okay? You can see one's slightly stronger than the other, but that could matter in certain instances, but not matter in other instances. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is this person may be only trying to do a step and then punch, or you have a feeling that this person might be trying to track you down, like we did at the beginning, and continue to follow you. You might have to stop them really hard, or they might be bigger than you. You may have to kick them really hard. That's where this comes in. The idea behind what you're trying to do is all you're trying to do is really trying to stop their forward momentum. You're not really trying to break the knee or leg with your foot. So as they step forward, if we do this hit, notice what's happening here. We have a margin for error. That's why we're doing this side kick, and we're going below the knee to the top of the shin. So we have a margin for error vertical, we have a margin for error horizontal. Okay? So that is supposed to stop the forward momentum by pressing against. So now if we press against, I'm going to do this with my hand so you can see it. If I press against, there's one of three things that could happen. I either press against, and they spin out like that, which exposes their center line. I press against, they go straight back, again, opens their center line, or I press again and they rotate in, closing off that center line. We have techniques for each one of those situations. In this case, we're going to take this one, the one that rotates in. Now notice what happens here. By them starting to do that rotation, I'm creating what's called an complementary angle position, to where what I can do is I can take advantage of the fact that they've exposed this to us. In reversing mace, what we do is we do that with a foot and take them to the ground. We then slam their knee into the ground. In this case, we're going to do it a different way. We're going to do it with our leg. We're doing it by doing a step through and reverse, but what we're going to do is up and down the same way we did with her foot, now with the back of the leg. Now notice I'm really nice and tight on this person. I'm checking high. At this point, I can do the short version of this technique and leave, or take them to the ground like that and then leave. Either way, I've decided I don't want to engage them anymore. I'm just going to leave. So let's start this again. For the rest part of this technique, we're going to come in this way. They're going to go kick, spin in, create that complementary angle here. We're going to hit down at that 45, and the reason why we're hitting it at 45 is to go to the lack of muscles. Their muscles are strong back and forth, but not, and up and down, but not at a diagonal. So now that we're going to continue that theme from the low to the high with the rest of this technique. So I've gotten to this position. We are not in a good position here. So what would happen here is I only have the back of his head, so I need to compensate for that. So we add foot maneuvers. Keep in mind, there's a general rule that says add foot maneuvers where needed. In this case, if I didn't want to end the technique, he could be leaning to the left here, and I could get it. He could be leaning to the right, and I can't get to where I want to hit next, so I would just finish it up or go on to something else. But in this case, he's right in the middle, and I decided I want to continue to engage, so I do a switch. And I use that forward momentum in order to do the switch. This is very similar to what we do in flashing mace or other techniques where you need to compensate, engage, and add foot maneuvers in order to continue forward if you decide to. So in this case, we've decided to continue forward, and we're going to do this punch. This punch is hitting with those two knuckles right behind the jaw, and it's coming down at that 45-degree angle, just like we did down there. And then what we're going to do is reverse that in the end, which I'll show you in just a second. We do this punch, we bypass the face, we grab, and we lock him up. This is the opposite side of what we're doing in circling destruction. Okay, we're doing it with one hand. The problem that can arise here is I start covering his face, and my fingers get bit. So what I want to make sure I do is keep my fingers below his mouth, but on his jaw, so I get the lock. This is not a permanent lock. It's not designed to stay there for a long time. It's only there for a short period of time. But what we want to do is we want to turn the neck, do a push-pull. If you notice what I do with my hand, this is what I'm doing. Doing a push-pull, and you notice how that hand begins to pull back. So that's what gets that lock in place. So now I'm going to follow up with a punch. This punch is an inverted vertical roundhouse punch to the heart, also known as a heart punch. There's one of three places I could hit here: sternum, solar plexus, or off-center onto the heart. We're going to go off-center, but keep in mind, you do any one of those three, no big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in a roundhouse fashion, not a hook fashion. So when I hit, I'm pushing down and in. Okay? Notice what I just did with the left hand. I drop it down here, and then I'm going to bounce back up and do this grab. Now I'm going to do opposing forces. I'm going to push with the left, pull with the right. Just as I did down here, I'm going to do this at a 45. Why? Because lateral motions, we have nice strong muscles for that. Vertical, we also have nice strong muscles for that. Where we don't have strong muscles is this diagonal. So what you want to do is go to the weak part of those muscles again, push, pull. If you need to readjust again, foot maneuvers are added as needed to get a nice strong pull under that neck. Most times you won't need to do that. At this point, this would be the middle part of the technique, or the middle version of the technique. I can then cross out, cover, and leave. We're going to be discussing the long version of this technique, which means I've crossed out, I've decided I'm not done with this opponent yet, so I'm going to close back on this opponent and kick them one more time. A lot of the techniques in this ranking of the system adds these motions. That's to pick up some category completion on foot maneuvers and kicks. So keep that in mind. It's not necessary, and you can always do it a different way, but in this case, we're going to do the long version. So what does I mean by that? What I mean by that is I could do a crossover out, rear crossover, cover, kick. I could stick with the rear crossover kick. I could do a variety of different things based upon how far I am and how much I need to close. But keep in mind, there's a lot of techniques that do this very same thing. But what's important here is also the kick. So I'm going to close this distance, and I'm going to kick this person. So what I don't want to do is do this at a roundhouse. I'm not trying to push them away from me. What I'm trying to do is hit back towards me. I'm going to do it to the body, but the ideal phase is to the face. I'm doing that so I don't hit this person in the face. So what you need to think about here is what's happening. What I want to do is I want to think about this as a punch, but I'm doing it with my heel. I'm not trying to push this way. What I'm trying to do is come in here and hook that way. Turn my hip into it, turn my leg into it. Okay? So let's talk through this one more time. We'll go back to our original angle. Try and do it a little bit faster with a little bit less explanation. So either point of origin or not, stop that momentum, he rotates in. I do my rear step through, bump him down using complementary angles. In this case, I see that I need to do foot maneuvers added, punch, down at that 45, grab, lock up, make sure your fingers don't go into the mouth, heart punch. Drop the hand down, pull, break, cross out, come back, hook. Not roundhouse, out and cover out. Okay, one more time, back on this angle so you can see it again, now without any explanation. Up. Hope this video helps you. Thank you very much.